Today's questioner asks, how do we find motivation when experiencing a burnout? First, I want to take a moment to talk about what burnout is. I want you to picture an old school glass kerosene lamp, the kind with an oil reserve and a wick you roll up or down to increase or decrease the size of the flame. Burnout is what happens when your lamp runs out of fuel. The reservoir is totally empty and you can't keep the wick lit because there's nothing to feed the fire. Now think about yourself as that kerosene lamp. You've used up all of your mental, emotional, and physical energy reserves. That would be your kerosene. And you don't have the energy to tackle anything. In other words, your fire won't stay lit. Recovering from burnout isn't about finding motivation. It doesn't matter how many times you try to light the wick, without refilling the fuel, it won't stay lit. The same is true for you. The key here is refilling your mental, physical, and emotional energy reserves. So how do you do that? The only way we refill our energy is through self-care. This includes good quality and sufficient quantity sleep. It includes eating nourishing food, and it includes activities which make you feel like you just received a warm, loving hug from your favorite person in the world. Once you've started to refill your energy reserves, keeping with our metaphor, put fuel into the lamp, it's important you find ways to avoid falling right back into burnout. The key here is to make sure you refill your energy reserves faster than you deplete them. You can accomplish that through extra self-care, through reducing your output of energy, or a balance of both. So to start, be kind to yourself. Recognize that our bodies were not designed to hustle without end. Realize that burnout is the top of a slippery slope leading to illness, disorder, and disease. Give yourself permission to take the time you need to rest and restore your mental, physical, and emotional energy reserves. Then get really clear on what self-care activities work for you. Your self-care routine should be as unique as you are. And pay particular attention to distinguishing self-care from self-work and distraction. Neither self-work nor distraction will refill your energy reserves. However, we often confuse these activities for self-care. You can learn more about building a self-care routine that works for you and your schedule by downloading my free self-care toolkit. I'll add a link in the show notes below to get your copy. And once you begin to feel a little more restored and a little less burnt out, begin to focus on ways to prevent yourself from falling back into burnout. Here's where good mental and emotional hygiene comes into play. This includes constructing healthy boundaries, getting clear on your unique priorities, and creating a consistent, sufficient, and sustainable self-care and self-work routine. This can be big work, and it can be helpful to work with a coach who can guide you through the process. If you're interested in learning more about my coaching program, you can schedule a no-cost discovery session with me. I'll add a link in the show notes below. And if you found this episode helpful, make sure you tune in for the next episode where I cover how to understand the difference between a lack of motivation and burnout. I'm sending you a great big hug. You've got this. I hope you enjoyed this bit of solicited advice. Make sure you subscribe to my channel to be notified whenever I post new content. Can't keep the wick lit. I 100% have this on backwards, don't I?